Hi, I'm Sarah Cookson.
I'm Kristen Hill.
And we're here with Austin Pets Alive, the cat behavior team. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about what we do, as well as how to get your own cat behavior team started. And I just want to first say, if you have any questions, just hold them towards the end. And specifically, if you have any questions that pertain to an individual specific cat, come to us afterwards, and we can see if we can help you out with that. So, first off, we have just 8 team members on our cat behavior team, so it's a nice, small, volunteer-driven team. We have 8 members because we have one person assigned to each day of the week. What that means is that person is, for example, responsible for all of the emails that come in for Monday, and then someone else is for Tuesday, and so on and so forth. And then we have an extra team member who can kind of pick up the slack for if someone is sick, on vacation, if there's just an excess amount of emails that come in on a certain day and someone needs help, that's what that 8th team member is there for. And again, we are all volunteering our time. So the cats that we typically deal with, I've listed here. We have single kittens, which what I mean by that, I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but it's a kitten that's been adopted by itself, and it's also not going to a home with another kitten or other cats. So it's going to have some socialization issues, maybe some behavior problems along the way. Catzillas. This is a phrase that we use to refer to, say, really sassy cats, the divas, the cats with tortitude, those types of things. Cats that easily go from hot to cold really fast, are a little bit unpredictable. We refer to them as being Catzillas. And these emails are also from their fosters as well as the people that adopt them too. And then we also get a lot of emails about cats being introduced to other animals, whether it's cats or dogs, and then elderly cats, and the behavior problems that come with the aging process. And before I pass it on to Kristen, I just wanted to focus on our impact on the return rate. Last year we had 374 inquiries, actually, and of those only 28 cats were returned. So that's an 8% return rate, which is especially impressive considering all of these cats have behavioral issues. So they're in some ways special needs.
All right, so a lot of times preventing behavior issues starts in the shelter before they get upset. And so there's a lot of steps for shelter enrichment. And this is super essential to mental and physical health because stressed cats are sick cats. And cats who are having shelter stress may react in wildly different ways because they're cats. So you can get bored, withdrawn, or aggressive behaviors. And the reason why this is a major problem in terms of saving is that shy or shut down cats are ignoring or hiding from potential adopters, which is not a big selling point. And frustrated cats will be nipping, swatting, engage in intense play, and ignore people as well. They are also mouthy and can be hot-cold, and that's also a big turnoff to adopters. If cats are getting ignored or they are ignoring adopters, there's fewer lives that we can save because of the space they're taking up. And so Catzillas, like she was saying, they're the cats with the extra behavior problems, the mouthy ones, the ones who don't know how to handle people or small children, may not like other cats or dogs. They really need to be generally a single pet. A fair amount of our Catzillas are front declaws, which I'm sure is not too big of a surprise. We waive fees on our Catzillas. It gets people's attention in. It helps, encourage people to take that second look. And then we also do discounts for long stay cats. So we're helping them find a home. Somebody may ignore this black kitten who's been with us for 200 days until they see that their adoption fee is half. But the important part is when you reduce fees, you still need to do regular screening. And if the cat has a behavioral problem, counsel to the adopter so they know what they're getting into. So big environmental enrichment opportunities are puzzle toys. They enjoy the hunt even more than the capture, but they're small spaces, and cats who don't play with others are going to have less of an opportunity to get that energy out. So a few options. These are puzzle feeders. You put the treats inside, the cat has to roll them around and think about it. These are also good for your fat cats and your cats who eat way too fast. But it's important not to put any substantial amount of feeding in here until you know the cat gets the game, because otherwise they could have really rapid weight loss. And cats need to have a fair amount of energy expended, especially if they're in cages for long periods of time. Track toys. This is the really simple model. The cat just puts his paw in and knocks the ball around. This fits in like a PetSmart size cage really easily. You can also get giant ones that you can kind of rearrange, like Matchbox sets from when we were kids. And so those you can put in meet and greet spaces or group enclosures. This is another good option. It's a hide and seek toy. It's similar to a track toy with the exception that they can get the treats and the balls and the other toys out of it. So smart cats or cats who are bored with their track toy because they never actually get the prize seem to really enjoy this. This runs about $20. I found a link where you can make one at home. Supplies will run about $10, and there's a link to that on the end of our presentation resources. Also, cardboard scratchers. So we're looking at the little ones that you can put inside doors. Okay. Cats can use this, A, to mark their territory, which is soothing, B, to get exercise out. And this is also important for declawed cats, too. They still need to go through those motions. They're inexpensive and disposable, so if you have something like ringworm come through, you just toss it, and you're not wasting a bunch of resources. And then another important thing is to have cat trees available in group rooms or in meet and greet spaces. Shy cats will climb up, observe the situation, decide these people aren't going to eat them and therefore are more likely to interact. And the cats who get overly stimulated can run up them and escape and use that, which is a better choice than biting or swatting. So carpet, wood, and sisal rope are the most common types of cat trees, and those are fine in the home. But again, they're a little pricier, and you're going to have cats come through who might be sick. So we actually moved to the Coranda Beds. They are made out of essentially PVC and tarp. So if you have ringworm or you have calesi or other hard-to-kill germs, you just take it out, scrub it down, and then replace the laundered bedding to give them a little bit of additional comfort. So part of the in-shelter is assessing the location. You want to make sure cats have hiding spots, especially when they're new, they're shy, or they're anxious. However, you want to be careful about this because some cats will never come out of them. So if you get to the point where they're relaxed when you pet them, their body language is calm, they're peeking out, it may be time to remove that hiding spot or block it up. But you always have to follow the cat's cues. So if they're freaking out, if they're trying to hide under their bedding, then it may be a better idea to give them a little bit more time. Sleeping spaces. This is very important in group rooms. If you have 5 non-related cats and 4 beds, there's going to be complaints. There's going to be arguments. Make sure there's enough to go around. The other important thing with bedding and laundry is obviously we want it to appear clean, but overwashing it removes all the scent marking that they've accomplished. So if you bring in completely new laundry every week, they're not going to be happy. The approach I've found that works the best is to take out half and then replace it and then do the other half the next week so cats aren't having conflict about resources. And then also availability of toys, and I'll cover a little bit of that later, but you want to make sure there's variety. And then the other one is litter boxes. You want them to be a good size, but if you've been in a PetSmart cattery, you know that those are small cages, and they require us to use small tidy cat boxes. So in that case, you want to be cleaning throughout the day, and have their pet care staff also on board to be scooping so it doesn't get really bad. In group rooms, you can do multiple standard boxes. We also have like giant storage containers that we've converted. But you want to watch, again, there may be a bossy cat who's keeping cats away from the litter box, and so you want to watch for that and make sure that everybody has equal access. And then the assessing individual, and again, cats react to stress and show it in pretty much exactly opposite ways. So coat condition, a lot of cats who are stressed will have a very dull coat. They're not cleaning it. In this case, this is a cat who was in the shelter for 6 months. This is actually a long-haired cat on this, but you see her belly's completely bald. She went to a cattery break, and that's all it took to resolve it. And then you're going to have cats who are sleeping or hiding. If you've been to an adoption event, you'll see that every single cat is sleeping. They're not sleeping, but their eyes are closed. They're pretending like this isn't really happening. If you see that, then that's a sign that they're overstressed. It's a sign that they're not feeling comfortable in their own territory. So if this is a cat who is a resident at one of your locations, that's a sign. Weight, some stressed cats stress eat, so they get pretty big. Other cats just stop eating. And both of these are red flags. Obviously, with significant weight loss, that leads to pretty serious physical illnesses as well. And then energy level. You're going to have some cats who have just decided that there's nothing to do. They're going to shut down, hide, withdraw. Other cats may be bursting at the seams with their energy. They're crying for attention. They're attacking you, they're attacking other cats, and it's because they're just bored. And then again, the level of engagement. If they used to be your best friend and curled up in your lap, or they had a best friend cat, and that stops, then that's a red flag. Other behavior that we run into that can be indicative of problems are fighting with cats who were previously friends, and being a little bit more destructive to stuff than they would be normally. We actually have a plan so that these long-stay cats don't slip through the cracks, which can happen. So a cat is in a site. If they've been there for 60 days and the cat is mentally well, there's a few options. You create a marketing push. Why is this cat getting overlooked? Why hasn't someone stepped up? We want to resolve that, including new pictures and bios on our website, because people are online dating for their pets too, so you want to make that an option. You're going to provide additional enrichment. Maybe they need a bigger cage. Maybe they need extra playtime. You want to make that available. And keep watching, because they can decline and get stressed. If the cat's not doing well, you want to have an immediate foster home. Cattery breaks need to be at least 2 weeks, but sometimes they need to be longer because the cat needs to relax, be more comfortable in the home. And then at 90 days, again, we will start a new marketing push. We talk to the cat behavior manager and let her know that this cat's been here for 3 months. If they're doing well, you can try to move to another location. They may just need different eyes on them. And or you can seek a foster home if they're not doing well. But you want to make that at least 2 weeks. There can be sometimes when moving to a new location isn't an option. We have a limited number of catteries where we can have FIV cats. There's limited places we can have cats who have chronic medical issues, or Manx syndrome is not something you can put in PetSmart or Petco. So in that case, you're probably going to have to move to a foster home regardless of whether they're doing super well. And so this is a project that I started after actually watching a Maddie's Institute session on clicker training. And normally when I tell people I'm clicker training cats, I get, is that a joke? And then I get, how are you doing that? And then I get, why? So why, I think, is what's going to really get you excited about this. These are cats who may not know how to interact with people. They've obviously been pets, but perhaps as kittens they learned that toys are hands, or they learned that nobody pays attention until they actually scratch or bite. So you want to give them mental stimulation. A lot of times these are smart bored cats. You help this cat form a bond with a person, you help them attach, and this actually lowers our length of stay. I had one kitty come through who'd been with us for quite a while. I started clicker training. She happened to be a cat who was pretty good but fat and didn't like being picked up. So I actually just taught her to get up and down on her own. And she was adopted in a week because she wasn't having that freak out when you were putting her in her cage. It also teaches appropriate behavior. So if the kitty uses their claws every time they touch you, if you do paw work with them, they learn that they only get good things if they don't use their claws. And the big one is it's a lot of fun. When I first started this, I would have like an audience of PetSmart people standing outside going, make her do this. And there was huge word of mouth with that. Okay, so the next step is how. How do you get a cat to understand what clicker training is? With preference testing, you put out 5 different types of treats all at once and then let the cat check. So tuna, chicken, wet treats, dried treats, even wet food are good ones. You put them out, the cat's gonna come around, sniff, nibble, but you wanna start using the one that they go for and finish last. The small part of the treat is very important because you don't want the kitty to fill up too fast. The next step is clicker loading. So you just click and give them a treat, and click and give them a treat until they get bored and full and walk away. As you know, the first kitty I worked with, this took like 10 minutes, and she was completely into it. Other cats have taken longer. So you just keep doing it, and you click, and then you wait a little bit for the treat, and you see if when they hear the click, they're looking around for the treat, then they've got it. The first trick that I've used every single time is touch, and what that is, you can buy a stick. You can get really cheap clickers. This is my personal favorite. The stick is in the clicker. So you put it out. The kitty, what's the first thing the kitty's gonna do? Put their nose on it. You say touch, you click and give the treat. Now they know that they have to do behaviors to get the click and treat. And then again with B, who was my first one and probably the biggest success, moved to paw work. She was scratchy. So I would have to push her comfort line. I would be putting the stick on her paw and then giving her the treat. Eventually, she got to the point where she gave high fives to anybody who walked by. She shook hands because it was really awesome. Capturing. So you want to teach the cat to sit on command. You walk around with your clicker and treats, and you wait until they sit, and then say sit, click, and give them a treat. So you want to catch them doing the behavior you want. And other benefits are going to be desensitization. So you have a cat who freaks out if they so much as see another cat. You can casually and slowly walk down, let them see a cat walk back, give them a treat. That gets them to the point where they're not having a super big blow up. But yeah, the link to the Maddie's Institute webinar they did, again, is at the end of the presentation, but I can't emphasize enough how much it helps. So,
Play this.
okay. So I have a marketing video we used for B. We got this put in Culture Map. We also put it on our website. When we put her as the featured cat on our website, I got 11 emails interested in adopting her in 3 hours. Whereas before I had really not a lot of interest. So,
Okay.
so here we go.
Why is it not? There we go.
Come over here. I love you, Bee, but you get distracted. Come here. I know you're sitting. That doesn't count. Sit. Bee, you ready to show off? Come over here. Hey. Come over here. Sit. Bee, touch.
Wow.
That was the first one that's the easiest because they naturally stick their nose on things. Bee, touch. Bee, high five. Bee, high five. High five. Good girl. Bee, paw. Good girl.
So paw, touch. What was the first thing you did?
Sit.
Okay.
And then this is her favorite though, shake.
All right, so next we're going to talk about the actual adoption process and kind of what are our adoption counselors, how they help us with the behavior of the kitties. So I have our cat adoption questionnaire here, both the front and the back, and I've highlighted some questions that are more pertinent in regards to cat behavior. So first we have, do you have plans to move in the near future? So a lot of folks don't necessarily think about how the cat is going to adjust to their new home in general, let alone if they bring the cat in and then move 2 weeks later. So this is a great opportunity. Most of these questions are great opportunities for education. But in this case, we're going to try to matchmake and see if they can perhaps wait to adopt until they've moved and are settled in a home, so they're not asking the cat to adjust so fast. Also, if they, for example, are planning to move a lot in the future, maybe they need a more well-adjusted cat, someone who's not going to need extra time to adjust each time they move. The next question we have is, where will you keep the litter box? A lot of people actually say the laundry room, which might be perfect for people. That's nice and convenient, out of the way. No one needs to see it. But for the kitties, it's not fun. You have the washer and the dryer in there. Those machines create a lot of noise. So imagine if you're going to the bathroom and all of a sudden a loud ringing noise goes off or the walls start shaking, something like that. That's scary. And that can cause litter box avoidance behaviors in cats, which is not fun, especially when they are tied into such loud noises like that. So again, education opportunity. Just simply tell them that they can put the litter box in a bathroom or a closet, somewhere that's nice and quiet, no disturbing appliances nearby, that type of thing. I also like to point out that if they have dogs, that they should think about where they're putting the litter box in regards to where the dog is. Can the dog access that litter box? For several reasons, that's a bad thing if they can. One, they'll eat it, but two, they will disturb the cat too if they are using the litter box and the dog comes running up. That's also very scary and can lead to some avoidance behaviors. Also, it's good to keep the litter box away from high value items that the dog has. like food, toys, things like that. So make sure the kitty doesn't have to walk by those items in order to go to the litter box, because the dog might guard those. Also, we have how many hours of the day will your cat be left alone? This is mostly a key question in regards to young kittens or young active adult cats. If they're going to be gone for 10 or 12 hours at a time, they probably don't want to have a single kitten. And again, great educational opportunity to tell people why it's really important to have kittens in pairs, and how to keep a cat busy while you're gone, using things like the puzzle toys that Kristen was showing earlier, using foraging techniques, just different things to keep the cat busy while they're gone. And on the back here, we have a whole section that focuses on cat behaviors. Specifically, it asks, have any of your cats caused any of the following problems? Scratching furniture, scratching people, litter box problems, and fighting with other pets are all great things to know. If they've had those problems in the future, or in the past rather, they probably don't want to have those problems in the future, and they would probably really appreciate having any advice as to how to prevent those issues, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I also like to know if the fighting with other pets, is that still an issue that's going on in the home? That's definitely something you'll need to know when you're matchmaking and trying to find the right animal for their house. Now, what will you do if your cat claws the drapes or furniture? So lots of people answer water bottle or squirt it with water or something like that. And I like to point out that that might solve the problem while you're in the room, but once you're gone, they're going to be scratching that couch or scratching the carpet just as much as before you use the water bottle. So a great product I like to tell people about is called Sticky Paws, and it's really simple. It's just double-sided tape that you can find in most pet stores, but you place it on the area that the cat is scratching and leave it on for, I usually say, a few days. The cat will go up to it, not like the sticky sensation, and then not go back to the spot for quite a while. For my cats, they do like to do this about twice a year, so I have to reapply it every 6 months, but it's much better than them destroying the couch overall. What is a behavior that would not be acceptable to you? Again, we have a very common answer to this one, and that's litter box issues. No one likes their cat to go outside of the box. And I always ask, is this something they're willing to deal with? Because this is something that could happen with cats, because 50% of the time it's medically based. So a urinary tract infection, for example, might be the cause. Most people don't know this, and they're actually quite surprised, and they end up being willing to work with the cat if it does start peeing outside of the box, because they know, one, they have the vet that they can go to and hopefully fix it that way. Two, we can also reiterate the fact that we have our cat behavior team, and we're there for them after the adoption for the cat's whole life. So even if it's a 15-year-old cat that ends up having this issue, we can be there to aid them through that. What amount of time do you think is reasonable for your cat to adjust to you in your home? This kind of is along the same lines as, are you planning to move soon? But this is more of a matchmaking question. So if they're looking at a really shy, semi-feral kitten who is going to need months to adjust and really come into himself, and they want a cat that adjusts the next day and is perfectly friendly and a lap cat, not going to be the right match. And it's, again, good education opportunity to let them know it takes some time for kitties to adjust to their new homes. So once they're actually in the home, that's when we start getting our emails. So these are the common problems that I went through all of our emails that we got last year, and these are listed in what's most common. So by far, litter box avoidance is the most common issue that we're contacted about. And they might be things that ended up being medically based or not, but either way, people reached out and contacted us about them. We also get a lot of emails about cat-to-cat introductions or cat-to-cat relationships. We do get some regarding cat-to-dog, but honestly, not nearly as many as we do cat-to-cat. Inappropriate biting and single kittens I have as one section because they are pretty much just tied together. Most of the inappropriate biting is based either in the adult cat being a single kitten in the past or it just being a single kitten in general. The socialization section is for a lot of our fosters actually, but we do get some adopters that email about this, whether it's kittens or adults. Aggression is a term I hesitate to use, but it's a good kind of overall term. This is referring mostly to our Catzilla type cats, guys where their behavior is a little hard to explain, but mostly the person emailing is going to describe it as being aggressive behavior. They're attacking me, that type of behavior. Meowing at night, this is in regards to both kittens and elderly cats. Vet visits and carriers I have as one section, again, because one is very closely tied to the other. If they're having an issue getting their kitty into the carrier, they're probably having issues at the vet office as well. And finally, we have suckling, which we actually get a lot of emails about. And this is both kittens having this issue or maybe teenagers, as we call them, you know, the older kittens having this issue. Most of the time it's pretty harmless, but we have gotten some where they are actually suckling on body parts, which is not a good thing. So how do we respond to these? It's very important, and I want to really focus in on this, that we don't do in-person consultations. We do not go out to their homes, which is a great thing if you're able to do that, but that requires a lot of resources. So we don't do in-person consultations. We just answer via email, sometimes via phone. And we also have a lot of what we call canned responses, or general responses that we've put together for all of those common problems that I just listed. So if someone emails in and it's just a general single kitten question, they're biting and just not knowing how to play, we have a response already set up for that. So we can pretty much copy and paste that response and send it right away. And obviously this isn't going to apply to every case. That's when teamwork is very important. There's going to be those unique situations, probably more along the lines of the aggressive kitties or the litter box avoidance cases, where you're going to need to pull on the entire team, get advice, suggestions. Maybe people have run into the same type of situation in the past, and they can give you advice as to what to tell these folks. And also, it's important to recruit volunteers with different areas of expertise, too. A great example of this is one of our volunteers has her own cat behavior consulting business, but she also does flower essences. And so it's a great thing to pull on if we have a cat. For example, we had a foster kitty that is what we call an angry declaw, and he needed a little bit extra help. So we were going to hook up the foster with this volunteer to get this kitty on some flower essences, and then also work on other behavior modification plans too. So, how do you do all this yourself? It's actually really simple. It's just a matter of getting people with a passion for cat behavior, which a lot of your cat volunteers are going to have anyway. But you'll need to educate them, of course, and that's what we have a resources slide next up for. And also, it's important to put together those general responses, those canned responses that I referred to, just to make it a little bit easier on those folks that are members of the team that aren't total experts on cat behavior. It helps them answer those more common questions. Also, we have a Google group. You can create a Yahoo group or anything along those lines, but it makes it a lot easier to track what emails are being answered. If an email isn't, it slips through the cracks somehow, and all of that, and it makes it nice and easy because you have one email address that it goes to, so people can not have to worry about who do I email on this day. It's just one email address. And finally, get the word out. So most of our advertising is going to be in the actual adoption consultation. We have our counselors time and time again really emphasize that the cat behavior team is there. We're free. We're there for the entire cat's life, or the cat's entire life, rather. And we have also in our cat adoption information packet several places in there where we, again, focus on the email address and the fact that we're there for them. And we even have a little flyer that we staple inside that folder that they get when they adopt. You can't really emphasize it enough. Just really make sure that folks know that you're there for them. And so this is some resources that we put together we thought would be useful for starting a new team, a cat behavior team. So specifically, we have the ASPCA Pro Resource Library site. That's a great place to just kind of search through. It has fantastic cat behavior articles, as well as articles specific to shelter cat behavior. Maddie's Institute clicker training and the do-it-yourself puzzle toy were both the ones that Kristen was mentioning. Those are fantastic to visit as well. And then the last two are general cat information sites. The Jackson Galaxy site and Maddie's Fund both have some great resources for just general cat information. Yeah.
So before we take questions, I also wanted to emphasize that all the clicker training work I did was at a PetSmart during evening hours. So mass distraction time. A couple of times it was going on while puppy training was going on, or there was a very unhappy cat or dog in Banfield, so it was noisy and loud and scary, and this was a release for that. The cats were focused on me instead of the craziness. So you can do this in any environment.